Now, as we conduct this full investigation, we have learned some information over the last 24 hours. We shared some of that information this morning in our press release with the fact that Abril was able to defeat some of his restraints. And as we conduct this investigation, we'll not only look into the circumstances around the escape, but we'll also review our policies, our procedures, and our equipment, quite frankly, to ensure that something like this never happens again. So with that, I'll be more than happy to take some questions.
Sheriff, yesterday you said that you had many questions about the escape. That sounds like that's still the fact at this point today. At this point, we do know that the deputy assigned to him was not asleep. So at this point, what do we know?
Like I said, that investigation is ongoing. We will get to the bottom of it. The deputy, there are parallel investigations, and now that we conduct this internal audit, review, and investigation of the deputy, this deputy does have due process rights as well, and he hasn't even been interviewed. So I would hate to speculate on what this deputy's actions were or were not prematurely.
Why has he not been interviewed yet?
He's been noticed to be interviewed, and an interview will be conducted when we can coordinate it.
Is he still fully employed by the department? Is he still on active duty?
He is.
Is there a chance that he...
I'm going to take somebody else's question. You got to allow other people. Thank you.
Was there a confrontation or anything like that when he was found today?
Not to my knowledge, no. He surrendered.
Can you tell us about what's the usual procedure when taking an inmate to the hospital? Can you tell us about what usually is the procedure when taking an inmate to the hospital?
Yeah, so Abril was initially taken to the hospital by ambulance, so there was some type of medical episode. The decision was made by jail medical staff that he needed to be transported to the hospital and transported by ambulance, not just in the back of a patrol car.
And what type of restraints was he under?
When he left the Placer County Jail, he was restrained with belly chains and leg shackles.
Do we know if the deputy who was guarding Abril, was he a sheriff deputy or a correctional officer, and was he wearing a body camera?
He was a sheriff's deputy. He is assigned a body camera. I can't confirm whether he was wearing it or not.
Is it standard procedure to only send one deputy to guard them when they're in the hospital like that?
The procedures for the amount of guards depends on the inmate's classification status.
And do we know if he was in the bathroom at the time of when this escape happened?
We don't know that yet because we haven't conducted the full investigation.
Can you talk about the condition of the suspect when you found them, and can you clarify what you mean by jail boxers?
Basically, he was in underwear, jail-issued underwear, and from what I understand, he had numerous abrasions and other things about his body.
Sheriff, you talked about jail classifications for a murder suspect. Would that normally be just one deputy? And moving forward, if it is just one deputy, might that change to more deputies?
Oh, 100%. So the jail classification, we have learned this over the last 24 hours, that when Abril first came into custody, he was classified as a 2-officer move. I can say that sometime during the month of May, our classification unit downgraded him to a 1-officer move, and that'll be part of this entire review of how that occurred, what prompted that decision, what levels of approval that decision needs to go through, and we'll make course corrections if that's needed to ensure that this never happens again.
Anything
sheriff
during
this
all this
entire-
ordeal, any kind of assault, any kind of physical contact that you made with the deputy that was watching him?
Not to my knowledge, but again, we're just beginning that internal investigation and review.
As the sheriff of this entire county, is it safe to say you're disappointed that this even happened?
Yeah, I would say that as the sheriff of this entire county, I take full responsibility for this incident, quite frankly. I take the protection of this community seriously, and quite frankly, as the sheriff who's in charge of the jail and the custody of prisoners, this should have never happened. And I can guarantee you this, we'll make whatever course corrections we need to, and I'll take full responsibility, and we'll make sure it never happens again, at least not while I'm the sheriff, I can guarantee you that.
Sheriff, do you believe that staffing levels could have been part of what led to this, that there was only one deputy assigned to him, that there was that transfer of jail classification?
I have no information to believe that this was at all related to staffing levels, but as the investigation unfolds, it could very well be related to the change in his classification level for sure.
And at this point, are you able to tell us how he escaped the hospital? Was it through a door, through a window? Did any hospital staff see him?
From what I understand, preliminarily, it was, through a door. He left on foot.
Sheriff, can you clarify, there was something yesterday yesterday in the press conference about a brief pursuit before he actually took off?
Yes. So that's why I say he left through a door and the deputy did give chase. Lost him, from what I understand, somewhere in the parking lot. But again, that's premature without completely doing a full investigation. And so that was preliminary information, though, but that is subject to change.
And Sheriff, for the majority of the day yesterday, we followed the SWAT team to various locations around Rockland. Were those legit reports, or did he primarily, like you said, he concentrated on Rainier Court? Was he primarily in that area, and the other sightings were just people thought that they saw him, but it actually wasn't him?
I think that would be a lot of speculation right now for me to assume that. But I mean, I can say this, that with over 60 leads we followed up on yesterday, none of them really turned out to be credible. So while we remained in that area of the point last seen, we also had to investigate all these other tips and people reporting different things, or, you know, somebody suspicious in the area. Those were all followed up on. And then as we regrouped today to get our plan of attack, everything led us back to that Rainier Court area, which is why we started there.
Just to clarify, as far as the shackles, was he shackled to his bed at one point when he was in the hospital?
I do not know that.
Following up on Rowena's question about the foot pursuit, was that foot pursuit with the same deputy who was assigned to guard him, or was that another deputy who happened to be at the hospital?
From what my understanding, it was the deputy that was assigned to guard him, yes.
You said that he broke his shackles, like he came unshackled. What was that via evidence through the surveillance, or did that happen at the hospital as he was running away?
Through evidence, through surveillance, we were able to determine that he was able to defeat some of his restraints. I really, due to safety and security concerns, I'm not going to get into right now how he was able to defeat the restraints.
And was he barefoot when you found him?
I believe so, yes. He was clothed only in jail boxer shorts and the belly chains around his waist.
Was there also a nurse present in the room?
Not to my knowledge, no, but again, we'll find that out once we do a full investigation.
Sheriff, earlier.
Take two more questions.
In case the investigation point out that there was negligence by the deputy, what are the consequences?
It would be speculative on my part. You know, I don't know what actions the deputy did or did not do that could have violated policy or not. But I can assure this community that if policies were violated, appropriate disciplinary action will be taken in proportionate to whatever the violation was.
And
Sheriff, I think you mentioned
one more
equipment.
question.
One more, please.
I think you mentioned equipment, that was one of the things that you were going to be looking over as you critiqued what had taken place. Those restraints, is that something that might be upgraded, changed altogether, knowing that that failed in this case?
I think all of the above, quite frankly. Upgraded, additional restraints that could be utilized. I mean, nothing's off the table. We're very open-minded to look at this incident. We'll learn from it, we'll be better, and we'll ensure it never happens again.
Sheriff, your message to the McKeegan family.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our press conference. We thank you so much for joining us today.
You've been looking live at the press conference there with the Placer County Sheriff after the capture made this afternoon. Fox 40's Zach Boetta was at the scene when law enforcement was able to make this capture in Rockland, and he's joining us now live with the latest when it comes to what you saw. Zach, you were right there. What did it look like? What was the feeling when this was taking place right in front of you?
Well, Sincere, good afternoon. There were dozens of law enforcement officers right here in the parking lot of the Edgewood Apartments off of Shannon Bay Drive here in Rockland, and they detained Brill right down here in this wooded area. You could see just how thick the brush is here. This is not a place where you want to spend the night. There's a creek down here. I've already got stickers all over my pants in this area. There were people crowding around when he was detained, and you could tell in the video that we got here on scene. We were first on scene. You can see that Brill was cut up, nicked up on his arms, on his back, and his chest, likely from laying in this creek bed right here in the back of the Edgewood Apartments, again off of Shannon Bay Drive in Rockland. This all happening about 2 hours ago. And just for reference, or just for some clarity and perspective here, a lot of people saying that Brill escaped from custody around 3 a.m. on Sunday, right? This is well over 24 hours later. He's still missing. A lot of people thinking he could be out of state by now, but where we're standing here at the Edgewood Apartments, this is just over a mile from Sutter Medical Roseville, right? So in that period of time, he only went just over a mile from escaping from custody at Sutter Medical in Roseville. So they found him here in this creek, right? The reason we were here is we were in the area for a large police presence on Zion Court. Large police presence over there. Then I could see that the SWAT team was making its way around to another street. So we followed the SWAT teams. They had about 24 SWAT officers hanging on the back of the SWAT cars driving through Rockland. They went Zion Court to Bryce Way to South Whitney, to Sunset, to Springview, here to Shannon Bay, and here to the Edgewood Apartments. When we came down here, again, we were the first news crew. Fox 40 was first on scene. We saw SWAT and we saw Placer County deputies put Eric Abril in cuffs right over here. He was, again, nicked up. You could tell it was him by the tattoo on his shoulder. This is around 12:30 this afternoon. They put him in cuffs, got him into the law enforcement vehicle, and drove him away. We did talk to neighbors here at the Edgewood Apartments. They're telling us that they're really breathing a sigh of relief this afternoon. They were concerned that Abril was in this area for some reason. They said that they could hear the dog barking from across the street, across this back creek bed here. They were concerned that he might be here tonight, today, this afternoon. They're breathing a sigh of relief. That also goes for Roseville residents, Rockland residents, who are concerned that this man who escaped custody might still be wandering around the area. And again, just found here in this creek bed over a mile, just over a mile, less than a mile and a half from where he escaped custody. And again, just to take one more look at this creek bed back here, this is where Abril was found. It's heavily wooded. There's a creek down there, stickers all over the place, a little bit of trash there. But when they pulled him up, again, he was nicked up all on his shoulders, on his back and his chest. But now we know that Eric Abril, the man who is allegedly responsible for a hostage situation and a murder back at Mahaney Park in April, is again in custody, and we have the video for you right here on Fox 40. So, Sincere, we're going to send it back to you in the studio, but of course, we're live in Rockland covering local news that matters. I'm Zach Boetto, Fox 40 News.
Alrighty, Zach, thank you so much. Very difficult terrain there. And again, the capture of Eric Abril has been made. Now, Fox 40's Marina Shaddix is in Loomis, where she was listening to the press conference we brought you just minutes ago. You probably heard her asking some questions of the sheriff, some very tough questions. She joins us now live. And Ro, you've been covering this escape. What stood out to you about what Placer County deputies had to say? I know one thing for me, they say now there's 6 deputies that are going to be watching Eric Abril.
Well, what's interesting coming out of this press conference in Siri is that we heard the sheriff, Wayne Wu, take 100% responsibility for what had happened. They do know from experience yesterday that it was one deputy that was watching this suspect when he took off. And as you said, 6 deputies are now escorting him and keeping an eye on him as he's being treated for any possible injuries at Sutter Medical Center. Now, what is interesting to note, we were out with the SWAT team following them for the majority of yesterday, different locations, different residences within the city of Rockland. But we do know that we saw a couple of surveillance videos from Ring cameras. 2 neighbors had captured his image on Rainier Court, and that is primarily where he had stayed. At least that's what it sounds like, because earlier this afternoon, we know that a resident of Zion Court was walking his dog when the dog started barking, alerted the owner to something. The owner saw some movement at a distance, contacted authorities, and of course that was the suspect. So lots of things that the sheriff said that they will be looking over as far as procedures go, what took place, what went wrong, and even looking at the equipment, the type of restraints that were holding the suspect. Lots of changes that are anticipated in the future. He said he doesn't think, and he knows for a fact, that he will not have this happen again on his watch. Sincere?
You. I just have to ask you, Ro, we had heard some about there being waist chains on Eric Abril, and I know you and others were asking there at the press conference about how those restraints were defeated, and the sheriff wouldn't go into that during the press conference. Have you gotten any other tidbits about exactly how? We did hear some about how he just walked out of a door and then there was a brief foot chase across a parking lot.
That is correct. It sounds like the deputy that was watching him gave a brief chase and then lost sight of him, and then he took off after that. As far as the restraints that you're talking about, we did see from the surveillance video that Abril had his left arm still partially attached to his waistline to those chains. But as you heard the sheriff say, both of his hands were freed at the time that they captured him, but that restraint, that chain was still on his waistline. Of course, he discarded his pants, and also his top was discarded yesterday. They did find those pants not far from where they found him in Antelope Creek.
Artie and Ro, just one other question. He was arrested, captured alone, but has there been any talk about anybody assisting him or waiting in the wings for him to get to a certain place to assist him further? We know he only got, as Zach was saying, about a mile away from the hospital where he was in custody but being treated before he was arrested. Any notion of somebody else being involved in this?
Sincere, that is one of the theories that all of us were asking yesterday. Was this an organized thing? Was he in fact sick on Thursday, or whatever ailment he suffered from, had plotted to have him taken to the hospital and then made arrangements on the backside that this would happen all along, that someone would assist him? In talking with some of the law enforcement out there on scene, they really don't think that that's what happened, which is why he was still out on the loose until they captured him alone. So definitely still one of the things that they're looking into. It's a big investigation that they are going through, and I'm sure that that question will be answered here fairly soon.
All righty, Rowena Shaddix there in Loomis monitoring that press conference. She will be part of our team coverage at 5 o'clock. Ro, thank you. Now here's a statement about today's capture from Congressman Kevin Kiley, who represents Placer County. He says, quote, "I am grateful to the hundreds of brave men and women in law enforcement across our region who came together to find and apprehend this dangerous killer. Before he could harm anyone else, there must be an immediate and comprehensive investigation into the circumstances surrounding his escape from custody to assure that nothing like this ever happens again." That is the promise we also heard from the sheriff today. And